Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today, we're taking a look at Week 10 of the Overwatch League. Once again, online matches, as they will be for the rest of the season. And we're going to make some picks and whatnot. So, I think it's time to just jump right into it. So, let's throw them up now, and let's talk about them. So, the first match of the weekend is the Hangzhou Spark taking on the Chengdu Hunters. I am picking the Spark. I think they have looked better. They won the last time these two teams played, which doesn't always mean everything for me. A lot of the time I pick against that if I feel like that's not the way to go. But overall, I think the Spark have been the better team. They've beaten the Hunters. They've beaten the Charge. They haven't beaten the Dragons, but they're 2-2, as are the Charge. But I think the Spark just overall have a better roster. They have a better team. I think they've looked better as a whole. So I'm picking the Spark. I don't think they are too hurt by this hero pool. So I think they should be fine. Next, we have the Vancouver Titans taking on the Guangzhou Charge. We're finally seeing the Titans again after several weeks of not seeing them. And I am picking the Vancouver Titans. I think they are the better team. I think they looked pretty good the first week that they played, back in week 1. It's been a while. I think that they're going to be better this week than they were in the past. They've had time to improve, and I think that they will be better overall. I'm excited to see Fissure play again. I think Fissure is a really good player, and I think that this team will have spent so much time kind of practicing and learning things more over the past several weeks that I think that they should be better as a whole. Guangzhou is an interesting team. They're a different team. It'll be interesting to see how Guangzhou compares to Vancouver, who have been playing more of that Western style, as opposed to the style that has been developed in the Chinese region. So it's interesting, and we'll see what happens. But I think Vancouver is going to win that one pretty convincingly. 3-0, 2-1, or 3-0, 3-1, something like that. Next, we have my big pick for Saturday, which is the Philadelphia Fusion taking on the Paris Eternal. A rematch of the last two times these teams played, or last time these teams played. I guess they've only played once this season. This time around, I don't expect it to go the way of the Paris Eternal. I think the Fusion have more of they have their full roster this time around. They have access to Hisu if they need him, which they didn't last time around. And they have a hero pool that I think suits them pretty well. I don't know what the lineup is going to be. I don't know if they're going to run Orisa Sigma. I don't know if they're going to run something else. I don't know what Poco Sigma looks like. I don't know what Fury's Sigma looks like. We never really saw Fury on Sigma. Last season, he always was on the Orisa, and Gesture was on the Sigma. So I think it'll be an interesting matchup. But I think the Fusion, with their full roster at their disposal, should be able to win this match. I don't think it's impossible for the Eternal to win. It's why I made it the big pick game. But I like the Fusion more now that they have their full lineup. It was a really close match last time around, and a big part of why they lost is because they didn't have Hisu. And, they had to have Ivy playing an off role, and he was up against XZ. But now you have Hisu up against XZ, not in an off role. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Who knows if XZ will even play. I don't know what the comp is going to be that people are playing. But it's going to be interesting to see. But I think the Fusion win this one. Just because I still think they are the top team right now. And Paris is good, but I don't think they're quite up there. Next, we have the Houston Outlaws against the Boston Uprising. I think the Outlaws win this one. I know the Uprising won the last meeting. I think the Outlaws have been better since then. I don't think this hero pool is great for the Outlaws, and I do think this hero pool is actually pretty good for the Uprising. I think Jerry and Color Hex like this hero pool a decent amount. But overall, I think the Outlaws are just a better team. I mean, the Uprising have been the center of controversy forever. So I don't know what their team coordination is looking like right now or anything like that. I was impressed by Brucein when we last saw him play. And I think he could still be playing very well. We'll have to see what he does and see how he plays in this match because I thought he played well when he played last week, but we'll see him again or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was that he played. But I'm intrigued and I'm interested to see what the Outlaws are able to do. But I think they're the better team. I think they should win this match. Finally, we have the Washington Justice against the Dallas Fuel. I'm picking the Dallas Fuel. I know they're a 1-win team against a 2-win team, but the Fuel looked very, very good this past weekend against the Valiant. I think the Valiant are better than the Justice, so I think the Fuel really should win this match. I like what they have. I think this is their best roster yet. I don't think they're going to be a team who sits at the bottom of the rankings all the time. They're in the Pacific Conference, but I think they're better still than a lot of these bottom Atlantic teams. I think they're better than Florida. They're better than Washington. They're better than Boston. They're arguably better than the Defiant, the Outlaws, the Spitfire. This is a team that I think is in a pretty good spot to win this week. I don't think they're against a very good opponent. They're against an opponent who I think has been struggling, and I think that they should get a win here because based on what we saw from them last week, they have the talent to really be able to go the distance, to win matches against teams who are considered pretty good or good. They put a pretty close series against San Francisco. So I think that the Fuel should be able to get some wins as we carry on with these online matches, and I think they will get one against the Washington Justice. Next, we have the Chengdu Hunters taking on the Vancouver Titans, the first match on Sunday. I'm picking the Titans again. I think this one should be a rout, though. We all know the time that the Hunters, took the Titans to 5 maps. I don't think that'll happen this time around. I think this one will be more one-sided. As much as I don't want to say I like the Titans and how well they've been playing, I like how well they've been playing. I think they looked very good, and this should be an easy win for them. Next, we have the Shanghai Dragons taking on the Guangzhou Charge. I am picking the Dragons for this one. They won 3-0 last time these two teams played, and I think the Dragons are only going to get better and better and better. I can't wait for the Dragons to match up against the Titans. I think that'll be a really good series. But for now, they have to play who's in front of them, and I think they're much better than the Charge. So I picked the Dragons in this one. Next, my big pick for Sunday is the Houston Outlaws taking on the Toronto Defiant. This is a tough one for me to pick. I went back and forth on this one, but ultimately I settled on the Defiant. I don't think either of these teams is going to settle in particularly well to this hero pool. No Diva doesn't do well for the Outlaws or the Defiant, really. No Sombra really doesn't do well for the Outlaws with, Dante. No Reaper is what it is. I think, the teams will manage that Reaper. No Ana doesn't settle well for Kariv or for Raucus. But really where I think this kind of goes, in my opinion, in the favor of the Outlaw, or in favor of the Defiant, is their DPS lineup. I think is when you have Surefour, who's very versatile, you can play a lot of different things. You pair him with agilities, you pair him with logics, you have more opportunities and more options there. I think the Defiant also just have a better support line, though Jex is very, very good. So maybe not. But they have a better flex support who I think is able to play Zenyatta at a higher level or Baptiste at a higher level, even though if it's Moira, it doesn't really matter. And you have, I just think, overall a more cohesive roster. This one, I think, is very, very close. If the Outlaws win, I wouldn't be surprised. I think this one will be a 5-mapper. And the Outlaws, won pretty convincingly the last time these two teams played. I think the Defiant have been improving since then. I don't think it should be a one-sided affair. But who knows? We'll see what happens. But I'm picking the Defiant. Probably against my better judgment, but I'm picking them anyway. Next, we have the Philadelphia Fusion taking on the Atlanta Reign. Another match that should be pretty good. Should be pretty close. I'm picking the Fusion. We haven't seen enough from the Reign to make me super confident in their play and their abilities. They've played against some, a couple teams. They lost to Paris pretty handily, but they've also had victories over Florida and I think Toronto. Some of these other teams who haven't been super great so far this season. So much like New York, who have, won a ton of games, but they've mostly played really bad teams. Atlanta's 4 games have not been against particularly strong teams, right? That to me is something that you kind of have to look at as a very big factor of a team's play. If you're, beating teams that aren't that good consistently, that doesn't really reveal much about you as a team. Atlanta's wins are against Boston, against Florida, against Toronto, and their loss is to Paris, right? So they beat 3 teams who are bad, and they lost to a team who is good, which isn't that weird. That's kind of what you'd expect, but it was a pretty convincing loss to the Eternal. So I think the Reign, I need to see more from the Reign against these top teams before I'm comfortable giving them a win against the Fusion or even, the Eternal. I'll wait until they've played the NYXL and hopefully have seen more from those 2 teams to have an idea there. That one I'm very 50-50 on. That was a very difficult one to pick, but I think the Fusion right now should win this match. I think they have more, better results that would lead me to pick them because they have actually won a ton of games. They've beaten New York. They've played a close series against Paris. They've played some of these better teams. I think that really kind of gives the Fusion the edge in this one. Finally, the Shock against the Gladiators. This is an interesting one because the last time these 2 teams played, the Shock lost. They lost. Gladiators won pretty convincingly, 3-1. And it kind of begs the question of, well, there was that period of time where we were all kind of asking, well, how good are the Shock really? Is the Shock era over? And then they came out and they dominated against the Valiant last week. So the question is a little less that now. I still think the Shock are the better team than the Gladiators. I mean, you look at the record and differential. The Gladiators are 2-2 plus 1. The Shock are 2-2 0. They're very close together in terms of record and differential. I think the Shock are still the better team. They looked a lot better last week. I think they have their set roster now. I have the roster they're going to play with, until the meta starts to change dramatically. I don't think they're going to keep doing these switches because I think they have figured out the roster that works for the compositions that they want to run, and they're going to stick to that, even if it's different every week because of the hero pool and the fact that they have such a diverse roster that they can do a lot of different things. I still wouldn't be surprised if we, see them dominate because they have their roster, their players, I think, are so used to working with each other that I think they should be fine. I don't really expect anything really to happen for them because I think that this team is one of the top teams in the league still. So those are my picks. If you have your own picks or thoughts on anything that I said, leave them in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. But I'm going to end this video off here. So if you enjoyed, consider liking and subscribing. You can get more stuff like this in the future if you do that. I hope you enjoyed. Like I said, comment down below your thoughts on anything. I'm a little tired, I'm sorry. But I'm going to get out of here. So thank you once again. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Hope you're all staying safe. Hope you're all staying healthy. And I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.